We have a major New York Jets free agency update as the New York Jets have been linked to having interest in multiple different free agency quarterbacks, all who would have very different impacts on the New York Jets. And there are obviously some guys the Jets fans want more, and one of these guys is going to be the clear favorite among Jets fans, but some of them are quite surprising options as we have not heard of them before. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Jets Digest. It's Chris here, and we're going to jump right into things as we always do. And guys, if you're having fun watching Jets Digest, if you're enjoying the channel and you're part of that 76% that's not subscribed, make sure to subscribe. We have a ton of videos coming out all throughout free agency, all throughout the offseason. We're going to start doing TikToks and Reels and eventually live streams as well. We're going to get, by the time this offseason's over, after the draft, we're going to have 6,000 subscribers. You better believe it. Guys, make sure to join while it's cool. But let's jump into the video. That was way too long of an intro for you guys. Darren Mougey is doing his work, and it was revealed that the New York Jets, well, they have a bunch of interest in many, many different names at quarterback. Now, there's obviously been the rumors of the Jets wanting to trade up. We've heard the Jackson Dart noise. We've heard the Jalen Milroe noise. Obviously, the Cam Ward stuff. Mel Kiper pitched Shedeur Sanders to the Jets. We've gotten Kyle McCord noise. So basically, every single draft prospect has been linked to the Jets at one point or another. But on top of that, there's also free agency where the New York Jets will likely make a signing. Now, Tyrod Taylor will be on the team next season, and that will give them some stability. But it appears that they could be adding another quarterback in free agency. They'll definitely add one through free agency or the draft. It's a question of which one will happen and how that will impact Jordan Travis as well. So let's dive into this, guys, because the New York Jets have a ton of options to fulfill, and Connor Hughes broke a lot of these down. And in regards to free agents, the New York Jets are far more likely to dabble in the second-tier veteran quarterback market, according to Indianapolis sources that told Connor Hughes this. They also came away from those meetings believing that the Jets' plan is to pair Tyrod Taylor with another veteran and then draft someone on day 2 or trade up late in the first round to have that fifth-year option that first-round players get. Marcus Mariota, Justin Fields, and Carson Wentz are 3 names to keep an eye on. So obviously that's interesting for a few reasons. One, there's no mention of Jordan Travis. They're showing a lot what this guy thinks of Jordan Travis, not very highly of him. So that kind of gives you a good insight there that the Jets could likely do both those moves and have a bunch of different quarterbacks on roster, which would be interesting because Tyrod Taylor is going to be there. So it becomes curious on what's going to happen with Travis. Maybe he'll be a part of the Jets trying to trade up to the late first round and picking a quarterback who they really like. Potentially a Jalen Milroe or Jackson Dart would be the most likely scenarios at the end of the first round, as Sanders and Ward will both be off the boards by then. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. On top of that, we've also seen a few other plans. We know that Darren Mougey is very, very secretive with what he's doing, which we love. Obviously, the Broncos had that fake draft board that they made to throw teams off the trail of their interest in Bo Nix. Mougey's going to be pulling a similar stunt, so it will be interesting to see what he does there. But it's a few different names that we're looking at now. I mean, we're looking at the obvious one of seeing Justin Fields back. There's been a ton of Justin Fields noise throughout these last couple of weeks that the Jets could have interest, especially with the Garrett Wilson connection from Ohio State. Now, Justin Fields, third-party ad content, Justin Fields, that is. Thank you, Apple, for making that screenshot happen. But 10 games played, 6 started, 4-2 QB record with the Pittsburgh Steelers, had a completion percentage that was up above his career average at nearly 66%, and threw for 1,106 yards with 6.9 yards per attempt, just literally his average pretty much right below it, and 5 passing touchdowns with 1 interception. He played decent football on the Steelers, and throughout his career, there's also really, the main thing is the rushing factor of it all. I mean, had a year where he had the most yards per attempt on any rush of any player in the NFL, so there's that. Also that year, he came in 9th for MVP voting, also led the league in fumbles as well. Matt is very anti that MVP year. Not MVP year, but that good year for Justin Fields. He has very good reasoning for it. It'll come up again in the future, so we'll talk about it again. But on top of that, we saw him make a good amount of rushing attempts, definitely kind of on par with what he did for most seasons. Had 62 rushing attempts. That's literally half of the season prior. And he played 13 games compared to the 10 games he played, and started 13 games compared to the 6 games he started. So he would have ended up, if he played 13 games, likely passing the 124 rush attempts, which would have ended up being the second most for his career. He still had 5 rushing touchdowns anyway, which was very good considering that in his best season in the NFL in 2022, when he started 15 games, I mean, Fields had 8 rushing touchdowns. So for 6 games, he would have had a lot. He would have gotten nearly 20 if this kept up. So it's also important to note that there's a lot of an excitement factor with Justin Fields that a lot of players and fans like. I would not mind it. I don't think it's going to lead to the Jets winning a ton of games, but I don't mind the Jets tanking for a year and trying to get Arch Manning or Nico Iamaleava. So if they're able to do that while we get to watch some fun quarterback play, it's not the end of the world to me. Justin Fields is someone who, if the Jets get him, he's going to start. He wants to go to a team where he's not really going to be battling for the starting job as much. The Jets might pin him up against Tyrod Taylor, but Fields would likely win that matchup because the Jets understand that Fields is going to be demanding a basically guaranteed starting role. Now, there's also the other guys to talk about. For instance, Marcus Mariota, who played in 3 games, didn't start a single game last year. For his career 34-40 QB record, has a playoff win to his name. 1-1 in the playoffs in the 2 games he started. Threw 4 touchdowns last season, part of the 97 touchdowns he's had throughout his career with 55 interceptions as well. Passed for over 16,000 yards in his NFL career. Had a long time starting in Tennessee when he was picked very at the top of the draft, and well, it didn't work out at the end for the Titans. They're now still trying to find a quarterback. Mariota spent last year with the Washington Commanders as kind of a mentor to Jaden McDaniels. Small forward on the Minnesota Timberwolves. And Jaden Daniels, he was a mentor to Jaden Daniels, and that threw me off. But he was a mentor to Jaden Daniels. Obviously, the Commanders had a great year, made it literally close to the Super Bowl before the Eagles destroyed them. But they did well. Jaden Daniels, obviously, future just tremendous NFL player who's only going to get better. So I think there's a lot of thought on Marcus Mariota potentially being a good veteran to have around a young quarterback, especially if the Jets decide to draft a rookie. It would make sense why they want Mariota to kind of be another mentor guy in there. It would be interesting if they had Tyrod Taylor and Marcus Mariota. It seems very redundant, but we'll see what happens there. Maybe the Jets will move on from Tyrod, or they'll end up trading Mariota before he even plays a game, like what they did with Teddy Bridgewater a couple of years back. It was actually a while. That was like 8 years ago now. Damn, time flies. On top of that, there's also Carson Wentz. Played in the Chiefs last year. It was Pat Mahomes' backup. Showed up in 3 games. Started 1, had a QB record of 0-1. Threw for 116 yards. No touchdowns or anything. Didn't really do much in his time. But he had that year back in the day when he was very, very good. And, I mean, he almost won MVP. He was on track to win it before going down with that injury. Since then, never made a Pro Bowl again. Never really captured that magic he once had. So there's a lot going on, and Connor Hughes explained more of it, saying that SNY touch base with scouts, executives, agents, and coaches about Shedeur Sanders and Cameron Ward, and not one had Sanders above Ward, but many also had concerns with Cameron Ward. They were fine with Ward going number 1 if you believe in him and take him organically. Mortgaging the future was a completely different scenario, and Hughes mentions this by saying that he had someone sum up the quarterbacks in this year's class, and this is the way that he can't stop thinking about it. It's the exact right way to think about it. The teams picking 1 and 2, and the Titans and the Browns both need quarterbacks. Yet both are willing/want to trade back because they don't really like these quarterbacks. That's a sign for the Jets to not trade up. I don't think the Jets are going to either. If the Jets trade their pick, they're trading down. It seems very obvious to me the Jets are going to trade down. I fully expect them to trade down to like 12, 13, get another first-round pick somewhere later on as well than by trading up. That's my guess, is they'd rather pick 13th and like 28th than 7th, which they'd be right to do. They got to get more picks in the higher level of the draft, so we'll see what they do. I'm very excited. There's going to be a lot of moves coming, and we are going to report on all of it. So make sure to be subscribed to Jets Digest, like this video, turn on post notifications. Have a great day, guys, and go Jets.